Hi friends, welcome to Sindhu English. இன்னைக்கு பிஜி டிஆர்பியில் இருக்கக்கூடிய இங்கிலீஷ் யூனிட் 3 இங்கிலீஷ் லிட்ரேச்சர் ஃப்ரம் 1798 to 1850. ஸோ இந்த டாப்பிக்கோட எம்சிக்யூஸஸ் தான் இன்னைக்கு நம்ம பார்க்க போகிறோம். ஸோ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் poetry வில்லியம் வேர்ட்ஸ்வர்த். In Ode Intimations of Immortality, what does Wordsworth suggest it lost as one grows from childhood to adulthood? The answer is sense of divinity. In Ode Intimations of Immortality, what does Wordsworth suggest is lost as one grows from childhood to adulthood? The answer is sense of divinity. What is the primary theme of Tintin Abbey? What is the primary theme of Tintin Abbey? Nature's influence on human spirit. In the Prelude Book 1, Wordsworth describes his childhood experiences. What literary movement is Wordsworth most associated with? What literary movement is Wordsworth most associated with? The answer is Romanticism. In Tintin Abbey, what does Wordsworth call the sublime force in nature? In Tintin Abbey, what does Wordsworth call the sublime force in nature? The answer, a divine presence. What is the tone of Ode Intimations of Immortality? Melancholic. In the Prelude, Wordsworth explored the growth of the poet's mind. What does Wordsworth emphasize as a source of joy in Tintin Abbey? A memory of nature. In Ode Intimations of Immortality, the phrase trailing clouds of glory refers to the soul's divine origin. What is the setting of Tintin Abbey? The Wye River Valley. Next topic. In Kubla Khan, what is described as a pleasure dome? A palace built by Kubla Khan. What interrupts the composition of Kubla Khan? A visitor from Porlock. In Ode to Dejection, Coleridge expresses the loss of poetic inspiration. What is the primary imagery in Kubla Khan? The exotic landscapes. Coleridge Ode to Dejection is written in what form? It is an ode. What does the Abyssinian maid symbolize in Kubla Khan? The answer is poetic inspiration. In Ode to Dejection, what does Coleridge lament? The loss of creative joy. What is the tone of Kubla Khan? So dreamlike and fantastical. What is the tone of Kubla Khan? It is a dreamlike and fantastical. Coleridge's work is heavily influenced by romantic imagination. In Kubla Khan, the river Alf is described as sacred. Next topic, Ode to the Nightingale. John Keats' Ode to the Nightingale. In Ode to the Nightingale, what does the nightingale symbolize? Immortal beauty. What is the primary theme of Ode to a Nightingale? The transience of life. In Ode to Nightingale, Keats contrasts the reality and imagination. What form is Ode to Nightingale written in? It is also a ode. What does Keats long for in Ode to a Nightingale? Escape from reality. The Nightingale song in Ode to Nightingale is described as joyful. Keats' work is characterized by sensuous imagery. In Ode to Nightingale, what does Keats associate with the Nightingale's song? Eternal joy. What is the setting of Ode to a Nightingale? A forest. Keats' Ode to Nightingale reflects his preoccupation with death and immortality. Next poem. In Ozymandias, what is the central irony? The statue grandeur contrasts with its ruin. What is the farm of Ozymandias? It is a sonnet. In Adonias, Shelley mourns the death of John Keats. What is the tone of Ozymandias? Ironic. In Adonias, Shelley uses the pastoral elegy form to lament the poet's death. What does the inscription of the statue in Ozymandias says? Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. In Adonias, Shelley portrayed Keats as a divine poet. What is the primary theme of Ozymandias? The transience of power. In Adonias, what does Shelley suggest about death? It leads to spiritual immortality. Shelley's work is known for its political radicalism. Next, we are moving to the prose. Charles Lamb essays. In Essays of Elia, Lamb's tone is often sentimental and reflective. In Dream Children, Lamb imagines. In Dream Children, Lamb imagines your fictional family. What is the setting of Chris Hospital? A school. In South Sea House, Lamb describes a decaying institution. In New Year's Eve, Lamb reflects on the passage of time. Lamb essays are written under the pseudonym Elia. What is the primary theme of Dream Children? Loss and nostalgia. In Chris Hospital, Lamb describes his childhood education. Lamb essays of Elia are characterized by autobiographical elements. In New Year Eves, Lamb expresses fear of death. In my first acquaintance with poets, Hazlitt describes the meeting Wordsworth and Coleridge. Hazlitt's tone in my first acquaintance with the poet is reverential. What is the primary focus of my first acquaintance with poets? Personal admiration. Hazlitt's prose is known for its passionate expression. In my first acquaintance with poets, Hazlitt portrays Coleridge as a visionary talker. Hazlitt's works often critiques social and political issues. In my first acquaintance with poets, Wordsworth is depicted as reflective and serious. Hazlitt's essay style is conversational and vivid. What does Hazlitt admire in my first acquaintance with poets? Poetic genius. Hazlitt's essays are the part of which literary movement? Romanticism. Next, we are going to see preface to the lyrical ballads. In the preface to the lyrical ballads, Wordsworth argues that poetry should reflect the common speech. What is the primary purpose of preface to the lyrical ballads? To defend the romantic poetry. Wordsworth defines poetry as the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. In the preface, Wordsworth emphasizes the importance of imagination and emotion. Wordsworth's preface was co-authored with Coleridge. In the prefaces, Wordsworth criticizes artificial poetic diction. The preface to lyrical ballads is considered a manifesto of Romanticism. Wordsworth's preface advocates for poetry that appeals to the common men. In the preface, Wordsworth emphasizes the role of nature in poetry. The preface to lyrical ballads was published in 1800. Next topic, John Aston, Sense and Sensibility. In Sense and Sensibility, the Dashwood sisters represent reason and emotion. The primary theme of Sense and Sensibility is social class and marriage. Who is the sensible sister in Sense and Sensibility? Elinor. In Sense and Sensibility, Mariana falls in love with John Willoughby. Austen's Sense and Sensibility critiques social conventions. What is the narrative style of Sense and Sensibility? Third person omniscient. In Sense and Sensibility, Elinor represents restraint. Austen's work is known for its social satire. In Sense and Sensibility, the Dashwood family faces financial ruin. Austen's Sense and Sensibility was published in 1811. Next, we are going to see the next topic in Wuthering Heights. Emily Bronte, Wuthering Heights. In Wuthering Heights, Heathcliff is portrayed as a vengeful anti-hero. The primary setting of Wuthering Heights is the Yorkshire Moors. In Wuthering Heights, Catherine Earnshaw loves Heathcliff. What is the narrative structure of Wuthering Heights? Framed narrative. The primary theme of Wuthering Heights is love and revenge. In Wuthering Heights represents passion and shows. Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights is considered the part of which genre? Gothic romance. In Wuthering Heights, who narrates the most of the story? Nellie Dean. The tone of Wuthering Heights is dark and intense. Wuthering Heights was published in 1847. Next, the last topic, lyrical drama, Prometheus Unbound by P.B. Shelley. In Prometheus Unbound, Prometheus represents human rebellion. What is the primary theme of Prometheus Unbound? Liberation from tyranny. In Prometheus Unbound, Shelley reinterprets the myths of Prometheus. The form of Prometheus Unbound is lyrical drama. In the Prometheus Unbound, Jupiter represents oppression. Shelley's Prometheus Unbound celebrates human potential. In Prometheus Unbound, the character Asia symbolizes love and hope. The tone of Prometheus Unbound is triumphant. Shelley's Prometheus Unbound is influenced by classical mythology. The Prometheus Unbound was published in 1820. The Prometheus Unbound was published in 1820. Okay friends, so third unitல இருந்து 100 questions இப்போ நம்ம பார்த்தாச்சு. இப்போ ஓரளவுக்கு ஃபர்ஸ்ட் செகண்ட் தேர்டு 3 யூனிட்டுமே நீங்கள் ஓரளவுக்கு கவர் பண்ணியிருந்திருப்பீங்க. ஸோ அடுத்த வீடியோவில் நம்ம 4th யூனிட்டு இதே மாதிரி ஒரு 100 செட் ஆஃப் கொஷின்ஸோட நான் வந்து உங்களை பார்க்குறேன். தேங்க்யூ ஆல்.